Welcome to the Squad Show. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Do the Vikings need to tear down this roster?
Oh, man, it's so sad when split coverage is the culprit. But we'll talk about that and how can Kevin O'Connell fix some of the issues with his quarterbacks.
Julia Daniels, Care 11 sports reporter. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. At this point, do the wins matter?
Reggie Wilson, Care 11 sports director, and I'm just going to blame the Vikings Sunday debacle on Sam Ekstrom. He jinxed them.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
What's up? Welcome in to our Wednesday Squad Show here on Locked On Vikings and the Locked On Podcast Network. It's the #1 sports podcast network, and we're back as we are every Wednesday with our Care 11 crew. It's Reggie, it's Julia, it's Ron Johnson, it's myself. We also do this after the games. We do this Mondays, we do this Thursdays with the two Lukes and Arif Hassan, so make sure you check that out. We've got Vikings talk for the next hour or so. Before the show is over, we will ponder whether a year two, in quotes, leap for J.J. McCarthy could be in store next year, like we've seen with Drake May, with Caleb Williams. How about a roster rebuild? Is it necessary, or does the QB just need to get figured out? Also, are there any defensive Pro Bowlers on this Vikings team? All of that, plenty more on today's Vikings Squad Show, which is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Reggie Wilson just threw me under the bus. He said that I jinxed Max Brosmer. I refuse to fall into this trap. I think I was with hundreds of others who believe that Max was going to spark this team. I really do. Reggie.
Hundreds? Maybe
I'm
thousands.
Thousands. I'm not, and Ron was one of them. Reggie, I can't remember what you said. I don't know if Reggie, if you were on that train, but I think I was not in the. Tell me what my jinx was. I need to defend myself.
You said that it couldn't get much worse after that performance in Green Bay, and guess what? It got worse.
Well, there's that. I do apologize for that phrasing. Kiss of death.
It got worse.
It did get worse. It did get worse by most metrics. Actually, one of the worst performances in Vikings history. But let's have a forward glance to start today's show. You look at this roster, it's expensive and it's old. It's also mostly under contract for next year. You're getting if you want to, you're getting almost everybody back. Probably going to have to do some restructures. You got some contracts that you could just slash if you wanted to without much penalty, like, Ryan Kelly or a Javon Hargrave, I think. Ron, does this roster need a makeover? Or is this strictly about, I would say, quarterback, number one, and health, number two? Like, if you're healthier with this roster and you have the right QB in place, can you roll with this group?
Healthy, yes, but that's the problem. They're not. So, yeah, I think it needs to be overhauled. Not completely, but from an offensive line standpoint, like, you got to get a little younger. I don't know if Kelly and Fries, I think, is okay, but again, injury. So is Kelly the answer? No. So you got to find yourself a younger center if it's in the draft, if it's in the like a free agent that's a second, third year guy that can be feasible to get through the next season. The biggest issue is like $65 million is going to be over the cap or something like that, or some ridiculous number. It's where do you find that many young guys, right? And so I go back to the Baltimore Ravens after they won the Super Bowl. They had loaded up with defensive talent. They had loaded up with Shannon Sharp and Saragusa and Adams and all those guys. Pete Boware, like they had Pro Bowler on top of Pro Bowler on top of Pro Bowler on that defense. Fast forward to a year later, they had to get younger. Todd Heap comes in as a young tight end. Jamal Lewis comes in as a young running back. My class with Ed Reed and Anthony Weaver, we had 19 rookies make that roster. I hate to say it, it took the Ravens time to get back, and they still end up winning the Super Bowl. But, of course, they had Ray Lewis, they had Ed Reed, they made great draft picks. Can the Minnesota Vikings do that? And that's the problem is the world we're in. we want it to happen now. We're like JG Wentworth. We want our cash now. We don't want to wait. We want to pay out right now. Pay me. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. And we're going to talk about this in the next segment with quarterbacks, but it takes time for young quarterbacks to kind of get their footing. You can look at Peyton Manning being 3-13 his rookie season. Imagine Peyton Manning 3-13 rookie season, number 1 overall draft pick, or number 2. Oh, yeah, because I think Ryan Leaf was first, I think that's how it went. When you think about that, though, imagine a 3-13 team with a top 3 draft pick. Like they wanted his head on a stake. You think about the Lions. We had Joey Harrington on, top 3 pick, same thing. He didn't get it done. He ended up moving on. So there's both sides of the coin. So people saying like, oh, he's not Peyton Manning. He could be Joey Harrington. He could be. We don't know. But at the end of the day, you have to overhaul a little bit because this age of these guys, they're not making it through. Some guys are. You got to evaluate those guys, keep them. The other guys, you got to cut bait and move on.
Yeah, the issue being, Julia, the depth on this team, a little suspect. The drafting of this front office, very suspect.
Yep.
You don't have a lot of money to bring in replacements.
No.
In some, like, you would really be trusting your depth and your drafting if you decided to cut bait with some of these veterans. Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, but it's something that they haven't really done yet either. Like what do they have? 8 picks this year? Is that
At
the
least,
number?
maybe 9. It's a lot.
And if they did some trading, they could have more than that, which is like, take a look at the Patriots right now, guys. Like, let's take a book out of the Patriots. Let's take a page out. Let's take a book. Let's take a page out of the Patriots handbook here. They have had some pretty solid drafts here recently, and we're seeing it all come to fruition. You can have veteran guys, you can bring in veteran guys, but if you don't have people to back them up, you don't have younger talent learning from them, and also there because injuries have been such a huge problem for this Vikings team this year. I mean, look at the O-line, like we've had, what did PA say the other week? Like 17 or 18 different combinations of this O-line, which is like one of the most in the league this year. I mean, it's absurd. And it's something I think maybe they're learning their lesson. They went and they spent all this money in the offseason on all these veterans, but they don't have hardly anybody to back them up. And so you have to go into your drafts and you have to get young talent. And that's how this all works. And then it becomes the farm. And then you can have success in the future. And you can't just bank it all on having a young quarterback that you're hoping to develop by putting all these veterans around him. Especially, I mean, and the other half of it too is, we talked about this. A lot of the veterans that they brought in were injury prone before they got here. And so this wasn't something that was like new to these guys, but it was something that the Vikings were very confident. And they told us this, they were confident in their training staff and they were confident in this. But at the end of the day, injuries are going to happen whether your training staff is great or not. They try and get them back out there as fast as possible, but that's where you have to have your young talent that's able to come in and cover for those guys while they're out. And so I think it's like Kwesi has got to have a better draft this year. I think that has to be one of the top priorities at this point, because that's how it works. You just can't, I know it's an expensive older roster, but I don't know if that's ideal at this point anymore, especially at this stage in the NFL.
I'm counting 9 picks, though a couple of them are conditional, and I'm not sure if they get them or not. Could be 9. They've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 5, 5, 7, 7, 7. So a lot of those are in day 3. But Reggie, roster overhaul, yes or no?
Yes, they have to get younger, and they also have to get faster. Like, that's the thing. And they need corners. Like, I feel so bad about the Kyrie Jackson situation, but I think they had a lot of high hopes for him. But like, you're going into these games with like 3 corners and you're like, okay, let's do it. And I think, Flo has run a lot of zone. I think he likes to run man, but he just doesn't have the guys. And I think too, like, to Julia's point, Kwesi has spent a lot of money bringing in these free agents, but like, especially last year, like, these are old guys. Like, they have to get younger. They have to get faster as well for them to really like be productive. I think it's very impressive that they've had 2 13 win seasons, 14 last year, building the way that they have. I just look at last year's draft. Donovan Jackson, that looks like a hit. Ty Felton, special teamer. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, he's gotten some reps. Kobe King plays for the Jets, and Gavin Bartholomew is out. And so you can't go into these drafts and draft like that and expect to continually compete. And I think maybe it's a bit of arrogance, maybe it's a bit of just being naive as well. But you look at the Lions, you look at the Packers. I mean, heck, you can even look at the Bears now in the division. Those guys have drafted to get to where they are. The Packers, especially, they added Micah Parsons to the mix, but like most of the guys that they're running out there are guys that they drafted. Look at what the Lions are doing with their draft. You know, they draft Penei Sewell. They hit on Amon-Ra St. Brown. They draft Jahmyr Gibbs. They draft Jamison Williams, who could have been a Viking. Like, they hit on these young players, these dynamic players, and they've experienced success because of that. The Lions went from being like the laughing stock of the league to now like you got to bring it when you come to play the Lions. And the Vikings just kind of hang around there, but like this year just I feel like is just a bigger issue that has manifested with this team. Not being younger, not having the depth, not being, faster. Like they've hit on guys that they brought in, like Eric Wilson, and I'll probably talk about him soon. But the young talent is just not enough to really compete. And if you can't overcome the quarterback position, now you're in a situation like where they are now, where you lose 4 straight games.
Yeah. If you don't add young pieces on rookie deals, you're going to have a tough time sustaining excellence. And that's been the Vikings, the every other year curse, very much in play as they sit at 4-8. But could the quarterback taking a step, could that be the panacea, the cure-all that fixes everything, that just brings it all together next year? We talk about that potential when we return on the Squad Show. And we are presented by Aura Frames today. This is an awesome holiday gift. I got one of these last year for my dad, who's in Arizona each winter, and it is so cool to be able to share family pictures with him, share memories with him that run across his Aura frame all day long. You can preload the frame with photos before you even give the gift, so you plug it in, and the memories are already there. No apps to figure it out, no setup headaches. It's just smiles. It's just joy. Give it to parents. Give it to grandparents, newlyweds. Just have it for your own family. Maybe if you live by yourself, have it for yourself. You can check out pictures of your dog. Holiday gift that actually gets used. It's not forgotten in a drawer. Just plug it in and check it out. Aura Frames, for a limited time. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Matte Frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code LOCKEDON. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. All right, rolling on the Squad Show. Again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe on Locked On Vikings and check out Luke Braun with his daily Vikings show. That's Locked On Vikings. All right, Drake May is an MVP frontrunner. Caleb Williams has taken a big step, as has that entire roster, but the Bears are in position to be a playoff contender. So if this is the rookie year for J.J. McCarthy, and I think we have to think of it that way, then could there be a year 2 leap in store that we've seen across the league pay huge dividends on teams like the Bears and the Patriots? Julia, where do you want to start?
I feel like if you're going to look at anything in comparison and have hope, you'd probably have to look at Caleb Williams, right?
He was pretty bad.
Right?
Yep.
The Bears were really sad. Granted, they had a coaching change that I think is working out pretty well. Not that I am still 100% sure that they are that team. But Caleb Williams, obviously, like you saw, I don't know. It's hard, though, because I do think Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy are very different. And, I mean, Caleb Williams is like Heisman winner. You saw the talent that he had in college. But I think if you're going to have any hope left for JJ McCarthy and patience left, you got to look at Caleb Williams' success this year and see how long it took him to get to that point. And he had a lot of really stupid mistakes. It was very frustrating for Bears fans to sit there and watch Caleb Williams. I mean, I remember watching Caleb. I'm not a Bears fan, but watching Caleb Williams for the past, 2 years before this year, it was just like, what is going on? And then you felt like he got thrown into a horrible situation, and he wasn't getting any of the mentorship that he needed, and they just didn't know what to do with him. I don't think JJ McCarthy's in that position necessarily, because I do think he has a few great quarterbacks coaches that he's working with right now. And so I don't know it's just tough because we're in like a weird gray area of how to develop young quarterbacks and have patience with them at the same time, because that's just how the NFL is nowadays. It's not how it used to be where everybody had patience in that sense. And so I think, I don't think that you can like give up on him just yet, but you need to see how the rest of the season goes. Maybe if he has less pressure on him for the rest of the season, because the wins don't necessarily matter at this point.
Yeah, that could be a benefit, Reggie, to have the spotlight taken off a bit. No longer are the Vikings thought to be this contender. Now you can kind of float below the radar and maybe not without the pressure of having to make the playoffs. But even someone like Caleb Williams, you look at his box scores last year, and we all agree it was kind of rough. It was rough. The Bears lost, 10 games in a row toward the end of the season. You look at any 6-game chunk that Caleb Williams played, not as bad as we've seen with J.J. McCarthy, not as turnover prone. He only threw 6 interceptions all last year. So it's going to take an even bigger adjustment with J.J. than we saw with Caleb Williams.
Yeah, and he's got to be on the field for the rest of the season. Like, no more injuries. Like, he has to play. Like, nothing beats game reps. He's got to play. And then in the offseason, look, man, I don't want to have any more of these talks about mechanics, footwork, like basic elementary quarterback stuff. Like, what are we doing here? It's the NFL. Like, he should be there as an NFL quarterback. I don't know if he needs to work with Jordan Palmer, Quincy Avery, one of these renowned QB coaches or whatever, to get his footwork together, to get the mechanics sound. Because I remember this past Monday watching the Monday Night Football game, and Troy Aikman was like, you have to be accurate to play the quarterback position and play it well. If you're not accurate, you're going to have some problems. He was like, even if you have like that big arm, but if you're not accurate, you're going to have some problems. And we've seen some accuracy issues all over. Some of these layered throws that he's just not able to make. Is it a byproduct of the mechanics and footwork being bad, or is he just not accurate enough? That part, I don't know. Maybe Ron could shed some light on that. That part, I think we don't necessarily know. But if he can clean up some of the mechanics, clean up the footwork, and really kind of work on some of those, layered throws. We've seen him airmail so many guys, resulting in interceptions. Those have to stop. But I think the more reps he gets, the better he could play. Like, I being at that game in Detroit, like I was like, okay. Like that was some good JJ McCarthy, and some of those throws were top notch. And then we saw some performances like we saw in Green Bay or any of the games in the 4-game losing streak. And you're like, ooh, like I think he needs to find some more consistency. And the thing about comparing him to Caleb Williams is like you saw something with Caleb, like his athleticism being slippery.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb just has a certain snap to the football when he throws it. And he's a pretty accurate guy. Like I have seen him airmail some throws as well, but like he's been pretty accurate largely. You have to see that from JJ McCarthy to really expect him to take that year or two leap, but I think he can do it.
Ron?
Yeah, so here's where I'm gonna go with this, right? I'm not gonna hate.
That was a diabolical
That
laugh.
was evil.
Come on, Ron. Let's go.
I'm trying not to be Luke Braun, right? I'm trying to be, I don't want to put the tinfoil hat on. But here's because Julia and Reggie both bring up good points. So let me go with some stats because I love a good stat. So when you look at the Chicago Bears last year, right, on third down, they had run the ball through 12 weeks. So we're 12 weeks in. I'm not going to use the whole season. They had run the ball last year 41 times on third down. They were the second worst team in third down efficiency. They had thrown the ball 144 times. This year, through 12 weeks, they've run the ball 55 times. So they've had an uptick in runs, 14 more. And they've drastically dropped off on third down passes. They're 117. They are now top 5 third down efficiency offense. Let's look at the deeper questions, right? They too added 2 offensive linemen this offseason, Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson. Those guys have played and they've been healthy, and they are the guards that matter to keep Caleb Williams' pocket clean. They are keeping it clean. You look at the tight end they got in the first round. Rookie, right? 31 catches, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. Better than TJ Hockenson. Now, TJ Hockenson has 44 catches, but he only has 358 yards, 2 touchdowns. So they're getting production from a young rookie. They didn't pay tens of 20s and 30s of millions of dollars, and we're not from our tight end. The tight end matters, right? Make tight ends great again. That matters. And you heard Kevin O'Connell say, like, we kind of saw TJ Hockenson come alive. What was the problem before? Either he doesn't have it or the scheme is not working to the Kevin O'Connell system of all the choice route stuff, right? So here's one thing that needs to change with the Minnesota Vikings. One, we know Max Brosmer, the game was moving too fast, like Kevin O'Connell said. He was throwing the ball before it was time to throw the ball. That's bad. Okay, you're smart. That's still bad. You can be too smart, right? My grandma used to smack me in the mouth when I got too smart. We know that. So you can be too smart. For all y'all that know, your grandma don't play that. Don't be smart with me. Don't be too smart. And so he's too smart, right? So how do you slow it down? I'm going to go with the 1 interception, right? The seam route. They went 4 verticals. If you watch Max Brosmer's eyes from the end zone copy of this, and I'm going to say this is teaching from the coach, right? JJ McCarthy is getting the same teaching that Max Brosmer is getting. At the snap, it was 2 high safeties. You saw 1 safety drop into the box. And I'm a quarterback. Okay, safety drops into the box. It's some type of single high. Max immediately goes left, and he stays left because he's like a single high. I'm going to the seam because I got 2 seams going up on single high. Here's the problem. It wasn't single high. And that's why that interception was thrown, because he played it like single high thinking, and if you're going to look that way, then throw the other way. You don't look and take the single high safety to where you're throwing it. So again, I don't know if this is Kevin O'Connell's teaching, Josh McCown's teaching or something, but something is off with these quarterbacks and how they're reading these plays, because he looked to the side he was throwing the ball to in seams. You don't look to the seam you're throwing it. You look here, and then you throw it back last minute to the other side. If he had done that, he would have completed the ball to Justin Jefferson because he was 1-on-1. The one time they gave Justin Jefferson man coverage on a go route, he went the other way and threw a pick. That's the problem. And this is Max Brosmer, right? I'm guessing J.J. McCarthy has a similar teaching. So there's something off there. Caleb Williams had a horrible, it's not horrible. It wasn't great rookie year, right? Statistically, it wasn't great from an offensive efficiency. This year it is. Why? Because they're running the ball and their offensive line is healthy. So that's the answer. If they can get a healthy offensive line and they can run the ball a little bit better and they can stay out of third longs, Their third downs right now, 148 plays. That's the 7th least. Now, you could say like, oh, the Seahawks don't have a lot of third down plays either. Yeah, but they're converting first downs on first and second down. The Vikings are not. They are 7.2 yards to go per play on third down. So pretty much they're averaging third and long. You can't be efficient in third and long. 3rd and 2 yards gain per play. That's the worst in the NFL. 33.1% of those plays have been converted. That's 31%, 31st in the NFL. 6.1% of those plays have been interceptions. That's the worst in the NFL. 8 interceptions, the most. 23 sacks, the most. 31 runs on third down to this point. That is tied for the 3rd least in the NFL. And the other teams suck as well that are below them at 32 and tied for 31. So in the end, can J.J. McCarthy get better next year? A long way to get to it. Yeah, but it's not his footwork. It's not his shoulder and his toes. I saw Teddy Bruschi say this today. He said, you know what, that's Kevin O'Connell telling the whole world it's not my fault. My quarterback is flawed by doing that. Oh, his toe is pointed this way. His shoulder's here. His head needs to do this. That's just explaining the flaws to make sure we all know it's not you, it's him. You know, that's how girls break up with guys. It's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's me. No, Kevin O'Connell went opposite. He's like, no, it's not me, it's him. Like, this is why we're not completing these passes. And then, like, Max Brosmer's throw that was high. Same thing. J.J. McCarthy has the same high float ball. So what's going on there? Like, why are they driving that ball across the middle and they're trying to drive it in there? And then you see the running back and the tight end right by each other on that throw. Why are they running the same route? Again, something is off. And I don't know what. I don't know if it's just guys have given up. Adam Thielen wants to leave. Justin Jefferson's pissed off. So can they get better next year? Maybe. But it's all got to get fixed. It's not just the footwork. It's the play calling versus the coverages. And I feel like there's not a lot of extra options in those plays. You don't go 4 vertical in quarters. Like, it doesn't work. So you got to let him know, like, hey, if you see quarters to one side, that's not the side to go to. Go to the man side. They just ran a split coverage, and it threw Max off. And it was a great job by Seattle. They did it a couple times, and he could not figure out the split coverage. So that's what I got.
Here's the comparison that I will be making all offseason. The only quarterback I can find that started this badly and came out of it was Jared Goff.
I thought you said
Jared
Johnny
Goff
Unitas.
Started. I don't know about how Johnny started back in the roaring 20s. Jared Goff was winless in his first year. Second year, he's in the Pro Bowl. Third year, he's in the Super Bowl. Now, what was the magic trick that they played on Jared Goff? They brought in Sean McVay.
I was about to say, yeah, they got rid of Jeff Fisher.
To Sean McVay.
Yeah.
So that suggests that you would need a coaching change, a completely different system, a radical offensive shift. But there's got to be something in there, too, that happened in Jared Goff. It can't be all the voice in his ear. I would like to go study that Jared Goff and see what exactly the magic formula was to get him having more success, because that is the best. Yes.
Sam, can I just say, too, like, I feel like, to Ron's point, something is going on. Like, why is it that Kevin O'Connell does so well with these veteran players? Even if they're like journeymen, or, you know, the Sam Darnold thing is case in point. He does so well with these veteran players, but with these young quarterbacks that he has to develop, something is just not sticking there. And, you know, he told PA we're waiting on the cement to dry a little bit for JJ McCarthy. And it's just like, okay, what is JJ not getting that you are trying to teach him? And why isn't it working? And why can't you simplify things? But also, like, I don't know what the explanation is as well for the fact that Ed Ingram is playing some of his best football right now.
And Bradbury's good too.
And they got rid of those guys because they didn't fit with what they were doing. Could it be that maybe you need to rip up how you're coaching the offensive line? Could it be maybe you need to rip up how you're coaching the run game? I talk to my brother about this all the time. I'm not a Rams fan anymore since they left St. Louis. He's still a diehard Rams fan. Sean McVay has shifted with the personnel that he has. Like, they did the zone running scheme thing. He ripped that up. Ripped that whole thing up. They're now running power. power run plays now with their running backs. How he was coaching up offensive lines when Jared Goff was there, it's totally different with Matthew Stafford. Like, there has to be a shift, I feel like, in some of the coaching, because how else do you explain, Ed Ingram and Bradbury, like, guys were ready for them to get out of here. And I'm watching all 22 of them just like mauling people. And then the Vikings offensive line is still struggling, and guys are just getting sacked left and right. There's a disconnect there. And it's not just on the quarterback's shoulders. To Ron's point, like, there's a disconnect with the coaching, because what else can you use to explain what we're watching? All other things being the thing this year was they were supposed to overcome the play of a young quarterback with all the installations that they did. Kevin O'Connell talked about they have to solidify the interior of the offensive and defensive lines. That was what he said after they lost to Arizona and Sam Darnold got sacked 76 times. Like, that's the why isn't it working? It just doesn't compute for me why it's not working. And also, does KO not have the ability to coach a guy to be a game manager? Like, is it always just, okay, this is what I need the quarterback to do to be effective? But, like, if it's not working, why can't you just say, okay, like, we're just going to simplify things? And maybe Ron can speak to this, I'm not sure, but maybe we just need to simplify things and just have McCarthy be a game manager until things kind of open up for him. But he's still running his stuff and still trying to do what he feels like a quarterback should do. And there's a disconnect there.
Ron's stats got me working on some stats of my own. So the Vikings on 3rd or 4th down have had 24 plays that resulted in a sack or an interception. That's 13.5%. And it's by far the most in the NFL. Miami is second with Tua and McDaniel, but it's
Tua
ugly.
doesn't even know he's playing football right now, so that's not even comparable.
Unaware.
That's not nice.
He's unaware. Yeah, I think that, to your point, Reggie, KOC, he is the language arts teacher in high school who's great at teaching grammar, but is trying to teach the language of English to a first-time English speaker, and that's a different skill. He's not refining the language. He's trying to teach the language. And it seems like there's a little bit of a problem with that. The way
we talked about that, though. Remember, we were like, this is really going to be a test for Kevin O'Connell, like having a clean slate guy. We thought it was going to turn out differently, where we were like, oh, maybe this will be great, where it's like we've seen what he can do with guys that we feel like have a problem. But you're right. It turns out that the issue wasn't that these guys didn't know how offenses in the NFL worked. It just, there were other little things that needed a little tweaking. But yeah, this has been an interesting experiment.
Yeah, they could already speak the language. They just needed to know where to like put the punctuation, and KOC figured that out. Hasn't cracked the code yet on the young QB. Let's talk about which defensive players could be in the Pro Bowl this year, if any. That's next. We're brought to you today by FanDuel. FanDuel offers live wagering that makes the game feel big, makes every play feel big, because suddenly things can change in a flash. You're reacting to the game in real time. When you place the bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight, it just gets exacerbated. Live betting is great. Game starts to shift. Receiver gets hot. Maybe you're betting the comeback in the second half. You feel that defense starting to tighten up a little bit. You can cash in big at FanDuel when you jump right into that moment. You can do live player props, live spreads, live money lines, live over-unders, or the next touchdown score. Very big payout potential there. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, on the squad show, we're going to talk a little defense, because the defense deserves some love for the way they played last Sunday. Max Brosmer, tarnished that that performance a little bit, but I've got a dog that's going absolutely ballistic in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. That is, I was trying to just work through it. I can't. I gotta acknowledge that. That is awful.
It's okay. Did you hear my cat messing with his bell and his ball?
Oh, your cat was like as delicate as can be, just like kind of prancing around, little noises. Not that. That is just outrageous. Are there any Vikings defensive players that could or should make the Pro Bowl this season? Let's start with Ron.
The punter or the snapper? I think do they count for defense? They don't count for defense?
That'd be special teams.
I mean, they're helping the defense out by flipping the field. Honestly, I don't. So the only name that jumped up when I looked at stats was Eric Wilson. But here's the problem. He's a linebacker, and there's like 12 other linebackers with better tackle stats than him. So interceptions wise, they don't. I mean, Isaiah Rodgers at one point had the world like, oh, my God, he's on a great. And then like there's been nothing since that. So honestly, like, I mean, the only person that might, because he's in the top 100, could be Grenard. But Dallas Turner has more sacks, so does Dallas Turner get a random nod as an Alabama guy? And so that's it. I don't know. My answer right now, quick, no, I don't think so. Like Eric Wilson statistically seems like the only one. From a fan voting, it could be Grenard.
Julia, what do you got?
Why not Jalen Redmond?
Big Red.
Nobody knows him.
I know. That's the problem. It's a popularity contest.
It's a popularity contest.
I know. If anybody were to have a case, I feel like Jalen Redmond has been the most consistent player defensively for them, followed by Eric Wilson. It may not be as shiny and sparkly as like Eric Wilson or Jonathan Grenard or Dallas Turner, but he leads the team in sacks. If he can get, I don't know, 3 or 4, 2 or 3 for the rest of the season, I think he has a good case if you just look at him compared to the rest of the defense. If you're going to make a case for anybody, I feel like he's been their bright spot, followed by Eric Wilson. But I do think, in terms of consistency and constantly showing up for each game, it's like we're always hearing Jalen Redmond's name, 4 or 5 times, if not 6 or 7 times throughout every single game that he plays. And so I would say if I were to pick anybody and say that they deserve to be going to the Pro Bowl this year, it would be Jalen Redmond.
Yeah, I mean, Reggie, we invested in Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, and it feels like half the time it's Redmond and it's Levi Drake Rodriguez that are making the plays.
Yeah. I think it definitely, to me, Jalen Redmond, like, he continues to flash. Like, even when people are watching film on the Vikings and they're looking at other things, they're like, oh, who is 61? That dude is a baller. The only guys that I feel like it could be Redmond, Eric Wilson, and if Turner keeps turning this corner and could be him too.
Levi Drake Rodriguez could win the popularity contest, though. I feel like if people saw more of his personality, they'd be like, definitely we should be sending this guy places, because
what a guy.
I would argue he is the nicest guy in the locker room. And you know what? There's a lot of really great people in there, but he is so like JT, our photog, was telling us yesterday. He was like, I was carrying my stuff, and he was like, is that heavy? Like, do you need some help? It's like, wow, it's just like such a great. I remember his first day at training camp last year as a rookie. I was just standing out there waiting for the guys to hit the field, and he goes, hi, I'm Levi. What's your name? And it's like, oh, that's really nice that you did that.
Out of Texas A&M Commerce.
Yeah.
And Ron, people can go and check out your interview with LDR on
came
the
to the
sideline
Gophers
of the
game.
Gophers game. Yeah.
He hung out with us on the sideline.
It is a problem when among your top 3 sack getters are not Andrew Van Ginkel, are not Jonathan Grenard, not Jonathan Allen, not Javon Hargrave. Your top 3 are Dallas Turner, your backup edge, Eric Wilson, your veteran, like, reserve linebacker who replaced Ivan Pace, and Jalen Redmond, your again, kind of started as a reserve and then stole a guy's spot. Like, those are your top 3 in sacks. Love to see it. Love to see a good Eric Wilson story. I hope they bring him back. But you would like to see Van Ginkel, Grenard at the top of that list, especially because they played. I guess Van Ginkel had that injury stretch. I was going to
say, and that's what you have to remember too is Grenard has been getting a lot, or not Grenard, sorry. Grenard and Van Ginkel both have been out. But when you look at Dallas Turner's been healthy, so he's been the guy to come in and kind of be the stable, healthy guy whenever either one of those guys can't go. So credit to him for staying healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. Bold predictions for the Commanders game Sunday at noon when we come back. Vikings favored by 1.5 at FanDuel. They play the Commanders on Sunday. Jaden Daniels. I guess we'll find out a little more today. I would be surprised if he played. Marcus Mariota would be the quarterback for the Commanders, who almost won a game with the 2-point conversion last Sunday night. Or was that Monday night? Sunday night, I think. Didn't come together. So the Vikings are favored in this game. Might be the last time they're favored all year. Reggie, give me a bold prediction for this one.
I'm going to eat crow, but JJ McCarthy, 300 yards passing.
He had a 250 spot against Detroit. That's his season high.
They're going to air it out, baby.
Instead of doing less, they're going to do more. KOC is going to zig when everyone's telling him to zag.
Yeah.
Julia.
I'm going to go Byron Murphy's going to have an interception. And I say Josh Metellus is going to have an interception too.
Still stuck at 3. How many weeks is that without an interception? I think it's since the Chargers game.
Yeah. Look at my cat.
He's climbing. He's exploring. We've got 2 interceptions. That's as bold as it gets. Actually, I don't know. 300 yards is pretty bold too. Ron, can you top that?
Yeah, so remember Sam, I said that yesterday on the show. I said JJ McCarthy, I was going to go 275. So I'll leave that one out there. But my other one is going to be the Vikings are going to have a 100-yard rusher. Like this is the week. They're going to JJ McCarthy's back. Kevin O'Connell's going to, throw caution to the wind. Let me go for a 10-play drive. And they're going to have a 10-play drive. They will have Kevin O'Connell is going to be patient. He's going to hear all the tweets. He's going to slow the game down. When I see him on the sideline, I think I'm going to say that. Like, I'm going to just say, like, man, have some patience. Because I think they're going to have a 10-play drive. Like, 10-play drive, 100-yard rusher, J.J. McCarthy, 275 yards.
Yeah, the Vikings had one drive longer than 5 plays against the Seahawks.
Actually, I'll go 250, 100-yard rusher, because that's impossible for them to get 350 yards. But, hey. The Commanders are terrible. They're like 31st in defense. So if there's any week, this has to be the week.
It has to be.
It has to be. I mean,
and yet, wouldn't you still so much rather be the Commanders because you've still got Jaden Daniels, and you can still count on. You can say, well, he'll get back to what he was last year. We're going to get this high draft pick to add to the roster. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of cap space. The Vikings don't have any of those avenues.
I guess we're not going to see Juju, huh? She's not coming.
No, I got to anchor that night.
Not you, Jaden Daniels' girlfriend, Juju.
Oh, different Juju.
Ron's always worried about the wags.
Hey.
Yeah, Ron and his celebrity gossip.
I didn't know if she was going to be there. She might show up. But, the Vikings aren't that good right now. So now she's like, this is not a good game to come to.
Also, it's in season, Ron. I know she's not playing, but it's in
she's got a Nike jet. She can hop on a jet if they're not playing right away. Come out, checked out go to Mall America.
To the negative 10-degree weather. Yeah.
What better time to wear the new Nike fur coat? Like this.
Maybe his mom will be there. How about that?
I was gonna leave that one out, but yeah.
Ron's got his stat notebook, and he's also got another notebook with columns and notes. He's got like all the key players, all the wags, where they're coming from, how long they've been dating. He's got the stats.
Got to keep an eye on it.
Oh my God.
The bold prediction: the Vikings will incorporate one of these two players in the offense. Ty Felton, Miles Price.
I hope Miles Price.
There will be a Miles Price or Ty Felton package. Maybe some jet sweep action, maybe some bubble screen action. But if you want to get the ball out of your quarterback's hands quickly, give it to your fast guys. Have Miles Price getting the ball in his hands and cooking.
Adam Thielen gets 5 catches against the Ravens. That's what's going to happen.
Okay, that seems inevitable. It seems inevitable that Adam Thielen to the Steelers. Quickly on that, I'd rather talk about this than FanDuel locks anyway. So the Adam Thielen thing? Can't believe we didn't talk about this. He goes to Pittsburgh, and his wife posts the video, says Adam just wanted to play, didn't care about the wins or losses.
I said that on the show, Sam. I literally said that.
I was wondering where everybody got this whole like he's going somewhere where they're a contender. I was like, I don't think he said
because in the message it says he wanted to play meaningful football. So then everybody started running with it as if that meant playoff.
You can't just like jump to a conclusion that that's what that means.
That's what they do. They jump to conclusions. I said it on the show yesterday with Sam. I said literally, I don't think it's about playoff football. I think he wants to have a role. And I'm not going to say how I knew that, but I just said it. But I did get a text back from Adam last night with a heart emoji. So, for all the people hating on my tweets, like, oh, I hope he sees this, bro. He saw it. So y'all can relax. But he did text me the heart emoji, which was kind of weird. That was kind of weird because I'm like, I didn't think dudes can text dudes hearts. But, hey, I'll take it.
You're never getting one again. Now that you said that.
Yeah, it's over, Ron.
Felt like Reggie knows about the Jim Jones and Fabulous podcast. I felt like a little bit of that moment for a minute. Like, wait, what? Whoa, pause. But I did, and then I texted him like a picture of this. So this helmet here, I told him when he gets to the building where to go. They have a cool wall with all the like, it's historic, So I kind of like, I told him that, like, man, this is a historic way to end your year. You're going to a place like this with 6 Super Bowls, and there's a wall. This helmet was only given to the players that was in the 1978 championship or that won it. And so my dad was one of the players that had it, so I have one, and it's one of whatever that number back then was, 67. But took you a while to figure that one out, Julia. But I told him, like, when you walk in there, man, it's just because I worked out there. The Steelers, before I signed with the Bears, the Steelers had bought me in to work out. And it's like it's old, but it's such a cool, historic, like you see all the Super Bowls, all the trophies. Not to hate on Vikings fans or nothing, because I know if Adam posts any pictures of any Super Bowl trophies, people are going to hate. But it is a cool, like, we have to be happy for that. That's a cool place to end your career. And with Aaron Rodgers, like, man, imagine we had Aaron Rodgers here with Adam
they're
Thielen.
buddies.
Will they make the playoffs, though? Will they make the playoffs, though?
They're second behind the Ravens, and they play the Ravens Sunday. So if they beat the Ravens, they're in first place. They're back in the playoffs.
All right.
So
I actually I'm looking at their wide receiver stats right now. There might be a path here for him to play. Like DK
they
Metcalf,
haven't had great. They got rid of George Pickens. Like, and Metcalf hasn't been the guy. So
Metcalf has been. He's got 600 yards, but after that, Calvin Austin is their next highest producer, 278. After that, go down to Roman Wilson with 166. I mean, that's easily wide receiver 3 territory for Thielen. So he might play.
He's going to be in the slot with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can run that choice route stuff, and that's what Adam wants to do. But here, Kevin O'Connell this year, if you notice, has not done a lot of slot choice route stuff. Like, we've not seen Hawkinson, and maybe he has, and Hawkinson makes bad choices. So I don't know.
Ron out of context. Hawkinson makes bad choices.
I don't get it, because like that was the whole, like, we remember BC Johnson, Sam, way back when we talked to BC Johnson. I was getting my COVID test with him every week because we had the same last name, so he was right in front of me every week for the COVID test at the Vikings facility back when we had to get stuff stuck up our nose every day. And we would always talk about the game plan, and he said they were huge on choice routes in the slot. We're not seeing. I mean, we remember the Kirk Cousins interception to what's his name? Was Rager? Remember, Rager made bad choices, and Kirk Cousins threw interceptions because of it, and we never saw him again. So, like, where is all that? Where is that offense that Kevin O'Connell had made famous when he first got here? It's I have not seen it, and so I don't know if it's the personnel, or I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's gotten too smart and wants to go deep all the time, because it's just he doesn't have that same dink and dunk offense he used to have when he first got here.
The Squad Show will be back tomorrow with Luke Braun, Luke Ginman, and Arif Hassan. Ron Johnson makes his Thursday appearance. We'll keep previewing the Commanders game and talking about the future of the Minnesota Vikings. Watch Julia and Reggie on Care 11, and I'm Sam Ekstrom. Appreciate you watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing today. We'll talk to you next time on the Squad Show.